Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Well, I just believe it's going to be a time of grateful thanksgiving to God for giving America an opportunity. God's going to be hearing our prayers, going to be answering. That's what my honest expectation and hope is as we are going through this election cycle. But let me just say this. I've got something in the refrigerator here, which is a frozen cake, which will be delivered to you also, by the way, with, I guess it's with ice, dry ice. Mm-hmm. This is an award-winning gourmet coffee cake of the most extraordinary caliber, made with Texas pecan crumbs, decadent cinnamon butter. There's this ribbon of a sweet swirl with a depth of flavor in every single bite. And I ate this slice after slice while I was trying to do a advertisement to help you know what's in this exquisite coffee cake. And I'll tell you what, I've never had a better cake in my life, and I want you to be able to have this too. It pairs well with coffee or with tea, and we only have a couple of hundred left. I got a certain number for my people, and we've got a certain number of cakes left. I think we got like 390 cakes or 395 cakes. You got to grab them while they're available. They can be paired fresh, shipped in this protected packaging, ensures they arrive in a perfect condition. Easy ordering. Place your order now fast on your secure website. I'm going to be enjoying coffee with this coffee cake and doing live broadcasts. I know a bunch of you are going to be going, how do I get it? I'm telling you now, I'm going to be doing broadcasts at home during the holidays with the coffee cake and coffee. And so make sure you join me on this. Go to lancewallnau.com/cakes. lancewallnau.com/cakes. The sale ends November 13th. So put it in the fridge. Mercedes, do you have something to add to this?
Yes, because I wave my hand like this at you because you're right next to me here. I want to say, too, when things get too intense over the Thanksgiving holiday, you're there with your family. You know what you need to do? Lance coined this phrase the other day. Cake break. It's time for a cake break. Break the tension. Have a little cake. Get a little bit of that dopamine hit from such a delicious coffee cake. And by the way, the man who created this, Dave Nolan, this is the coffee cake that was in Starbucks. They don't have anymore. Remember, you get those little...
Pronounce it, Starbucks.
Yeah,
you said it real fast.
Starbucks.
This is the chef that created the multi-millions of dollars of revenue with his cake recipes for Starbucks. He's free now to deliver them to you.
Mm-hmm. So get it, lancewallnau.com/cakes.
Oh, by the way, comment cakes. If you're watching this on Facebook or on Instagram, write down the word cakes, because we're going to be taking a cake break together during this next 30 days. I look forward to enjoying a little delicacy with you when the time comes. Get your cake ready. I'll tell you what, there's nothing like live news coverage of real events when they happen. Mercedes Sparks, you've just returned from your on assignment in New York City at Madison Square Garden. Now, I've heard a lot about this event, but you were there. Can you tell me what happened?
Oh, it was powerful, Lance. It was packed out. You got like 20,000 people in an arena, lines around the block, multiple entrances. I mean, there's too many people. I think they said almost 75,000 people outside watching on the giant screens that they set up. It was electric. And
there was a lot of speakers there.
Yeah, there was.
And of course, everybody's talking about some goofy line that one comedian said, and they're trying to blow it up about Puerto Rico. But there was some other surprise moments there that I think were even more significant.
Yeah.
What were the moments for you that maybe the media isn't catching?
I was super excited to see and hear Elon. I know Elon's kind of a mixed bag for some people, but I loved him. And I got to tell you this too, off stage, because I was like, I had some saved seats and I was in this section where I could see all of the important people seats. And he was there. I'm pretty sure his mother was there, but then he also had his little 3-year-old. And so as they're going, fight, 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 he's got his little 3-year-old, fight, 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 making him do his little hand there. And it was so cute. But, Dana White, they had, Representative Byron Donalds. I saw Newt in the audience. Tucker came out, keeping it electric. And then there were audible gasps when Dr. Phil walked out. No one was expecting Dr. Phil. We were all like, Dr. Phil? What? I mean, Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk was there. He came out.
We expected him, but Dr. Phil. Now, Dr. Phil, little backstory. I don't know if you know this, but I happen to know about it because I'm in South Lake, Dallas, Grapevine. I'm in the Texas area here. He moved here from, I guess it was California. And he made the decision that he was going to really do his own thing regarding what he was going to do for TV programming, because he wanted to make sure that his values, his Christian values, weren't under the control of consultants and producers with the system of Hollywood. So this is why his comments, I think, at Madison Square Garden are so interesting, because he could literally come out of the closet and say what he wants, because he doesn't have to bow the knee to Hollywood. You guys have a clip? I asked him to get a clip of what he said.
You're here because you recognize when legacy media edits answers and gives you what they want you to hear instead of the truth. And when they start editing their candidates' answers, they've lost their moral compass. They've lost their way. And I would love to say it's equal on both sides, but I'll guarantee you, when Beyonce, George Clooney, De Niro, and Lizzo come out and say they're for Kamala Harris, when they all come out and say they're for Kamala Harris, did you read anything or hear anything in the media criticizing it? No. But you watch what happens tomorrow morning when people find out I came here to talk to you. You say this in Hollywood and all of a sudden you ain't got a job. The problem is I don't need one. I don't need a job because I got you. And I've got a question for all of us. Have we lost our minds? We have the First Amendment in America where our government has said we will pass no laws to infringe on our freedoms for religion and speech. So that's the law, but we're muzzling each other. What is going on? We have a law that protects free speech, so we start taking it away from each other? Are you kidding me? We can't allow that to happen.
Well, tell me what he's talking about there. So I'm intrigued. I'd like to hear more. I'm sure maybe some of you share that. Mercedes, what in the world is he talking about in this segment about we're muzzling each other? Meaning that the government is muzzling the people, or that the press is muzzling other outlets, or what?
Yeah, I think it's press muzzling other outlets, because he just launched Merit Street Media, and that's his new network where he's got his show and a number of other programs. And so he was talking quite a bit about that. And then also just talking about how it's bullying, that at the end of the day, the woke progressive movement, the media are bullying. And he's like, and that's why I'm here, because I'm speaking out against bullies. So it was shocking to see him there. And like you said, that was one of the big headlines that came out of the Madison Square Garden event.
All right, well, listen, and of course I could go into the stories about how they're trying to compare this to a Nazi rally, but I'm not going to waste your time debunking that, because you guys, you know how irritating it is. But there are some witty memes that pop up, and I try to repost them on Twitter, and I'll try to get them for those of you that are watching this program rather than listening to it on a podcast. But I mean, they've got Madison Square Garden with John Kennedy. So he was there. And of course, they show John Kennedy in 1960, whatever, Madison Square Garden Nazi rally. And then they have Walter Mondale. And who was Mondale running with? It's a shame I can't remember anymore. But it was Jimmy Carter and Mondale. And they're having a Nazi rally in Madison Square. The point is, every politician who's ever used Madison Square Garden never was accused of being a Nazi till it comes to Donald Trump, who has a Jewish son-in-law, Kirchner, who worked with him on forming the Abraham Accords, which arguably he should have got a Nobel Peace Prize for. Who do they think we do? They think we're stupid? Makes me rant.
Well, and Bill Clinton received the nomination at the Democratic National Convention in Madison Square Garden. So, and that was Rudy Giuliani's point. If it's good.
Oh, wait, Clinton and Hillary and Bill were there?
Mm-hmm.
at the Nazi rally
in Madison Square Garden
with skinhead James Carville right there in the front row.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be on news programming somewhere.
No, but listen, here's the deal. Should I play Al Sharpton, who was, you know, he carried a gun and was the bag man for somebody in New York. I forget, you don't know this because you're so young, but I know these stories because I knew who Al was before he got involved with politics. But I'm not going to give you the 1 minute and 3 seconds. Why would I want to raise your blood pressure with what he has to say when I can raise the blood pressure on the left with what Joe Rogan has to say? Play video 7, how we are now the rebels. It's cool to be the rebel. It's the Republicans and the young men and the movement we're in right now, populist, faith-driven nationalism. Bam, is the movement that's taken over America. Watch what Rogan has to say.
The rebels are Republicans now. They're like, you want to be a rebel, you want to be punk rock, you want to buck the system, you're a conservative now. That's how crazy. And then the liberals are now pro silencing criticism. They're pro censorship online. They're talking about regulating free speech and they're regulating the First Amendment. It's bananas to watch.
Joe, they come after their political opponent.
Well, they do.
Got more guys. I always say, you know, I kid, but I'm not kidding. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the meanest of them all. He'd kill you in 2 seconds if he didn't like you, right? I've been under investigation more than Alphonse Capone, only because it's political opponent stuff. And I've won. I won the big case in Florida. I'm winning the other stuff. You win. But you know what they did? They did something that's only done in third world countries. They came after their political opponent.
Yes.
I could have put crooked Hillary in jail.
Well, not only that, but they're weaponizing it by saying that that's what you're going to do once you get in office.
Isn't it great?
By ignoring what they're doing right now.
You know, I wish we had more time to talk about this because here's what Trump said that you might have missed. He said, I could have put crooked Hillary in jail. He could have weaponized the Department of Justice, had meetings with prosecutors in private and denied it in public, and said, let's go after the laptop. Let's go after the scrubbing. Let's go after the emails, and let's go after Comey, who's working with them, and the Russian collusion stuff. Let's go after. He could do that. He didn't go after Hillary. He said, stop it. He has the common sense to say that's not what we need now. We need to heal the breach. We need unity in Senate and in the House. We don't need to give a feeding frenzy to the fanatics. Let's focus on policy. Do you know what I believe? He's even said, Eric Trump has said this. There's a little bit of a scoop. I think one of the most healing things that Trump can do is what he's considering. Let's stop the prosecution of Hunter. He's gone through enough. Hunter's been through, and he knows the laptop. He knows that laptop from hell has incriminating evidence. He knows his family is guilty. Biden's guilty of milking America out of millions of dollars. Him and his family ran a Democrat, typical swamp money laundering game. I could prove it if we prosecute it. But who will that help? It's not going to help the American people. I could have done it to Hillary. I didn't do it, and I won't do it to Biden. I want America to get healed and get back on this. We got bigger battles to fight than this constant bickering and infighting. I won't do to them what they did to me. They would love to put me in prison. We're going to stop that. America's going to be a free country from now on. We're not going to do that to our political opponents. That game stops right here with my administration. Bam! If I could write the speech for him, that would be it. However, if he loses, does anyone doubt that the same knuckleheads that attack Christian pastors, praying grandmoms, and wants to lock them up, that they wouldn't just in their own insatiable lust and irrational hatred want Donald Trump behind bars? Because they've got a demon on them, folks. So when I use that term, the left goes crazy. I talk about witchcraft. It's witchcraft. When you got demons that got control of your thinking to the point where you're not aware. It's like, see these lenses? I could see, no, put the camera back on me, thank you. So this is me without lenses. This is me with lenses. Here's the thing that happens. When you're under a spiritual influence, you don't see clearly, and something comes over you. This is Trump derangement syndrome. When you got those lenses on, every is an evil man. But when you have objectivity, discernment, you could see, I've got to take the lenses off and look at the evidence. That's what Joe Rogan's done. I got to take a break right now.
I had a comment. I was waving.
Oh, all right, go ahead. Then we got to take a break.
I wanted to flow for a second. So, but this idea, I mean, even coming out of the convention at Madison Square Garden, you know, the headline coming out of it is "Kill Tony's joke," which his whole shtick is roasting. I mean, that's where you got to start, was roasting people. So, you know, was it in poor taste? You know, 8 to 10 days before an election? Yeah, absolutely. But what I see happening, even on our side, because I came home last night and Larry was talking to me about it. He goes, "Hey, I was kind of poor taste, do you think?" I mean, kind of along those lines. I said, "But here's what's happening is the media, to your point, you're talking about the media spin machine. It's putting ideas out there, and even people on our side, what sets in is a spirit of offense, right? I'm offended. I'm justified in my thought process, my anger, and I'm offended. But it's really a spirit that's motivating it behind that. And so I'm saying, even on our side, you know, if you're Hispanic, if you're, you know, Puerto Rican, yeah, it's kind of like a little jab, it's a little dig. I would say that it's his shtick, that he's that type of a comedian, so you can't take him that seriously. He insulted all. It was really funny though too, Lance, and he was doing a set. There was all these guys down there up front, like commissioners, you know, like little police guys with their little hats, and he's talking. He's like, "I'm really sorry, it's just so distracting. It's just like the convention of Commissioner Gordon's down here." And it was like he had a couple of really funny lines too.
Here's the point: the left is an outrage machine.
Yeah,
but it's selective. I wish we had a better. We're just not good at this because we don't think this way. Our lenses are not built like theirs. But you know, Obama gave the most condescending, arrogant, and insulting speech during the midterms. People forget about it. To Hispanic voters, that they were stupid for voting with Republicans. He basically scolded them for not voting Sieg Heil like a group. They have to vote like the Nazi socialists, and everyone lockstep. Goose step. Every black person must vote Democrat. Every Hispanic must vote, which is actually the opposite of what a free society is all about. But nobody's looking for the clip. But Obama routinely insults an entire community. And he does it without a punchline, which is even worse. He's doing it sincerely. This other guy's doing it as a comedy routine. Anyway, I'm 2 minutes over. I got to take a break. I got to stop the train. I have to end this broadcast right now. This is a segment. We're going to come right back. Don't go anywhere. We have to take a break right now from our ordinary program to go backstage because we're taking a cake break. You got to take a cake break. You can't be stressed out all the time. I have my friend Dave Nolan, the super chef, the guy that basically is now sharing with me the original. I guess it was this is the coffee cake I had at Starbucks for years, right?
Yeah. For 20 years, it was in Starbucks.
This was the original recipe. It's delicious. I've already eaten like half the cake. We're going to get back to the program, but I want to share this with the rest of the staff. I want to try to see what my son Carl thinks. Carl, all right, ladies and gentlemen, my son Carl, cut Carl a slice.
Please.
And let's have him describe
a big slice for Carl.
Organic flour or cage eggs. Cage-free eggs. The special butter, organic.
Oh, yeah.
Every element of this, ladies and gentlemen, to perfection. I only have 500. That's why I wanted to get this word to you right away. So it's I've been working on this thing for a while, and every bite is Carl, what do you think?
Really good.
Wait a second. Carl, you ate the entire cake.
You guys got to try this. This is a really good cake.
All right, well.
Thank you for the cake break.
You don't want to eat it that fast. Savor it, ladies and gentlemen. You go to lancewallnau.com/cake. We only have 500 days. It's going to specially make for me and my friends. lancewallnau.com/cake. Let them eat coffee cake. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Bridge on the River Kwai. Every now and then I have to remind myself. It's a great movie. For those of you that are younger, you need to go watch it. It's a classic. Albert Guinness, the guy that plays Obi-Wan Kenobi, is the actor who plays the British, I believe it's the British during World War II who were prisoners in like Singapore, captured there. and they had to build a bridge as part of a project with the commandant of the Japanese internment prison camp. But what happens to Guinness is fascinating as the colonel. He starts to forget that he's actually an enemy of the commandant. And at first he starts off as a great patriot with the British troops, but gradually starts to come under the fatigue of his imprisonment. And the next thing you know, he's collaborating with the commandant in this building project. And he's so committed to giving his men an assignment, a job, and rations and work that's meaningful to help them stay sane that he makes the finishing of the bridge his great commitment. Meanwhile, the more rational prisoners are thinking, they want to build the bridge for the trains that are going to be supplying munitions to the Japanese. We have to sabotage our project so that we blow up the bridge. And the story is fascinating, that their colonel actually is trying to stop them from blowing up the bridge because the bridge became more important than the war. So what's the purpose behind that long story? As a Christian, remember, our purpose is mankind and the redemption of the soul. It's not political. It's not economics reform. It's not this or that. All those things can be righteous and good and virtuous in themselves, but our macro agenda is that all men might know Jesus, and including our enemies who right now will be future friends. We love our enemies because Jesus says, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Now, a political season can create such deep opportunities for a spirit of offense that, like I was sharing earlier, you suddenly start to see people as your enemy and you begin working on the wrong project. You've got to keep that "they're my enemy" lenses off. It's hardest to do when they're attacking you personally and treating you like they are, and they are enemies. They clearly are your enemies. But you can't look at them as enemies. You have to constantly bring yourself back into a redemptive frame of reference and see them as souls deceived that do not know what you know. And Matthew 24, I got my Bible here, verse 10 through 12, talks about the last days. This is not easy, folks. Take heed, Jesus said, that nobody deceives you. A lot of deception, a lot of fake news, a lot of propaganda, a lot of manipulated information out there. And Jesus prophesies that they're going to deliver you up to tribulation and kill you. You're going to be hated by all nations. Listen, if you live for likes on social media, you're not going to stand in this chapter. But they will kill you, and you will be hated by many nations for my name's sake. And then many shall be offended. I'm going to circle that word right there, offended. And that's when the betrayal. That's when Christians start betraying each other because offense sets in. What is an offense? An offense in the literal Greek is an interesting word. It means a tripstick. It's so somebody's walking and you put this stick out, boom, and they trip and fall on their face. The dust and the dirt stings them in the face. Their hands slap the ground. They get up mad because you put the trip stick out and they stumble. A trip stick is anything that triggers or offends you or makes you angry or upset. So Madison Square Garden, one guy who's a comedian like Mercedes is talking about, he's doing a whole line. It's like Don Rickles. He's hitting everybody. They'll zero in on one because they want to find anything they could torture out of its context to kill the Latino vote because Trump's getting Latino men. So they make one joke into a tripstick and then flame it so that people will fall and get up. Under the influence of that offense, the Bible says the offended will start to hate one another. And this is how Satan works. Then the Bible says, many false prophets will arise and deceive many. Many will take advantage of that tripstick, offended cultural tribe against tribe era. And then listen to this. Because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. Can't you see that? Can't you see that you start to pull back your civic engagement? You start to pull back your sacrifice. You start to pull back into survival and protection mode. When lawlessness is out there, you shut your door, you barricade the gates. They're out there and you're in here. It's just us versus them. That's the nature of lawlessness, where a healthy society is lawful and you're expanded in your engagement, your openness, and your generosity, because the criminal element is in everyone. It's the exception to the rule. But when lawlessness is there, you can't trust anyone. So you see, you pull back. Love starts to become cold. This is what the Bible says. Well, if you know that, then how do you protect yourself from it? That's the beauty of it. It's only when you're in close communion with other believers that you don't get cold. It's like having one coal that is by itself, is isolated, the fire can go out. But when it's heaped together with other coals, you can capture a flame. You can then barbecue. You got warmth. One toothpick can get broken, but a bundle is hard to break. You need to gather together with other believers, especially as you see these days coming. You need to connect with other believers. That's why. How can they connect with us? Go to lancewallnau.com / no, just go to lancewallnau.com and just connect with me. And people are always saying, well, how can I get your stuff? Where are you? Because I'm always surprised people don't know how to communicate. Every day we do this. There is a faithful, Bible-filtered version of current events to ground you and keep you sane every day. That's lancewallnau.com / podcast. And I encourage you to take advantage of it, because I go through news and current events to digest what is important and then present to you in the most redemptive way possible how to process current events. That's what we do. At least that's what we feel our assignment is. Think we're going to continue doing it this year, Mercedes?
I think so, Lance. I think we're doubling down on it. I think we're going to have more courage tours. I think that we're called to convene this year. I think that God has really used you almost as like a ligament, a connector in the body of Christ to just bring different groups together for just maximum kingdom impact. So I think with this Trump victory that's about to happen in the next few days, we're going to shore up the house of God and build it and fortify it. In Jesus' name, I'm going right into a prayer and an exhortation.
Well, you know, a little bit of fasting with you, and suddenly you become like Amy Simple McPherson here on the show. She's got me praying for people left and right. It's making me work all day. People, we're going to be back again tomorrow. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show. Brother Bannon has been set free. He's flew to coop. And oh boy, 4 months of that fighting Irishman not talking has got him primed and ready to go. And I want to cover with you what Bannon's been saying. I got some great clips for you, but we'll be doing that tomorrow. See you then. Don't miss any of these important broadcasts. God bless.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.